Welcome to The Art of Relationships. This podcast is produced by the Biola University Center for Marriage and Relationships. Let's get right into it.
So welcome to another Art of Relationships podcast where we're going to talk about conflict, right?
Yeah, we're really going to try to unpack today how do you identify healthy conflict versus unhealthy conflict, and then some strategies to really do it well so that you actually grow from it instead of it driving you apart.
Yeah, let's do this. Jaden, pull up that video for us. You can both listen and watch this video. Check it out, and then we'll comment on it.
Well, I'm gonna go do the dishes.
Cool.
It'd be nice if you helped me.
No problem. We'll get them a little bit later. I'm just gonna hit the streets here for a little bit.
Gary, come on. I don't want to do them later. Let's just do them now. Take 15 minutes.
Oh, honey, I am so exhausted. I just honestly want to relax for a little bit. If I could just sit here, let my food digest, and just try to enjoy the quiet for a little bit. Get some. That's what happens. And we will, we can clean the dishes tomorrow.
Gary, I don't like waking up to a dirty kitchen.
Who cares?
I care, all right? I care. I busted my ass all day cleaning this house and then cooking that meal, and I worked today. It would be nice if you said thank you and helped me with the dishes.
Fine. I'll help you do the damn dishes.
Oh, come on. You know what? No, that's not what I want.
You just said that you want me to help you do the dishes.
I want you to want to do the dishes.
Why would I want to do dishes? Why?
See, that's my whole point.
Let me see if I'm following this, okay? Are you telling me that you're upset because I don't have a strong desire to clean dishes?
No, I'm upset because you don't have a strong desire to offer to do the dishes.
I just did.
After I asked you.
Jesus, Brooke, you're acting crazy again.
Don't you call me crazy. I am not crazy.
I didn't call you crazy.
Just
I didn't
did.
call you crazy. No, I didn't. I said you're acting crazy.
You know what, Gary? I asked you to do one thing today, one very simple thing, to bring me 12 lemons, and you brought me 3.
God damn it. If I knew that it was going to be this much trouble, I would have brought home 24 lemons. Even 100 lemons. I know what I wish? I wish everyone that was at that goddamn table had their own little private bag of lemons.
Gary, it's not about the lemons.
Well, that's all you're talking about.
I'm just saying it'd be nice if you did things that I asked. It would be even nicer if you did things without me having to ask you.
Well, I do seem to remember doing something for you this morning without you asking.
Gary, come on.
I'm
you
serious.
know what? No,
Come
I'm
here.
serious. I really am. Come on, you knew I was working today and I made that meal, and you could have thought to yourself, you could have said, I think I'm going to get Brooke some flowers.
You said on our very first date that you don't like flowers, that they're a waste of money.
Every girl likes flowers, Gary.
You say that you don't like flowers. I'm supposed to take that to mean that you do like flowers?
No, this is not about, you're not getting it. You're not getting this, Gary. Okay, it's not about the lemons, it's not about the flowers, it's not about the dishes. It's just, how many times do I have to drop hints about the ballet?
You know I can't Brooke, come here. We talked about the damn ballet. I hate the goddamn ballet. You got a bunch of dudes in tights flopping around for 3 hours. It's like a medieval techno show. It's a nightmare. I sit there in a sweat. The whole thing. I do. Wondering when the hell's the goddamn nightmare gonna end? Go to a damn ballet.
It's not about you loving the ballet, Gary. It's about the person that you love loves the ballet, and you wanting to spend time with that person.
Not when they're at the ballet?
Okay, forget the ballet. Forget the ballet. We don't go anywhere together.
We just went to Ann Arbor together.
To Ann Arbor. To the Michigan Notre Dame game. You think screaming drunk kids and leprechauns doing backflips, that's fun. That's fun for me. Come on, man. I did that for you. How do you show up for me?
I'm up on the bus every goddamn day for you.
Come on.
I'm busting my ass to be the best tour guide in the damn city so I can make enough money to support both of us, and hopefully you won't have to work one day.
I want to work.
All I ask, Brooke, is that you show a little bit of appreciation, that I just get 20 minutes to relax when I come home instead of being attacked with questions and nag the whole damn time.
You think that I nag you?
That's all you do! All you do is nag me. The bathroom's a mess. Your belt doesn't match. Hey, Gary, you should probably go work out. Nothing I ever do is ever good enough. I just want to be left the hell alone.
Really? Is that what you want, Gary? Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That's what you want?
Yeah.
Fine, great. Do whatever the hell you want. You leave your socks all over this house, dress like a pig, play your stupid-ass video game. I don't care. I'm done.
What?
I am done. I don't deserve this. I really do not deserve this. I deserve somebody who gives a shit. I'm not spending one more second of this life with some inconsiderate prick. You're a
Okay, so here's a couple of things. If you weren't able to watch, you're just listening. You could tell right away something happened, Elise.
Oh, something happened.
And I think if we're talking about conflict, let's dissect this for just a second. First of all, the first thing you notice was a very harsh startup, right? Here he is. He's just kind of enjoying, hanging out on the couch. They had a dinner, and the dishes are there. And she says something as simple as "help me with the dishes."
It would be nice if you helped me.
Yeah, and all she said was "fine," and then that set her off, right?
Sure did, yeah.
So that's what we call a harsh startup. It wasn't like just kind of built up to this moment of we got dirty dishes and I want them clean and I don't like that. It was bam, immediate. And you could see the emotion on her. She's a great actress, and Vince Vaughn, they're both good at this. And they demonstrate something, Lisa, in an argument that oftentimes happen that we would say is unhealthy. First of all, conflict is really inevitable, right? Everybody has conflict. It's going to be about the dishes. There's going to be about the house. It's going to be about money. It's going to be about in-laws, right? It's going to be about kids, sex,
Relationships, whatever.
all that. I think what we have to grasp when it comes to conflict is while conflict is inevitable, it's not created equal. There are different kinds of conflict, but almost every single time you have conflict, there ought to be something that happens that for a lot of people isn't happening right now. What ought to happen, I think, is in a moment of going, all right, God, show me how this conflict, what's going on here, and what's going on in my heart, because I know I'm right. I feel like I'm right. Let's take Vince Vaughn, the character in this movie clip. He's just sitting there enjoying it. He's like, oh, well, okay. He volunteered to help do the dishes. He volunteered. And he's probably thinking, wow, you're wacky. This is crazy. There's nothing wrong with keeping the dishes overnight, right?
From his perspective.
From his perspective.
From her perspective, there was a lot with leaving them over.
Yeah, there was obviously it pushed the button. Okay. Not all conflict is necessarily equal, but we can all take any conflict we have and use it for a couple of things. Let's go with the unhealthy, right? First thing that we notice in an unhealthy conflict is there's a very quick or what we call harsh startup, right? And this harsh startup kind of can be over an area maybe that we've always had conflict about. We just keep going into this. We keep hitting the same thing about cleanliness or about money or about you spending money or whatever.
It's like you go to 0 to 10 or 11 like that.
On a scale of 1 to 10, right? 0 to 100 on a scale of 100, right? Okay, that's the first sign that something's wrong. I think a second sign for me in conflict that is I know, all right, this is all, is when I am not really listening to you. I'm just simply waiting and loading up my points as you're talking to go, well, I'm going to prove and show you why, you're wrong and why these points are like the greatest things, ever to come out of the mouth of someone. I've thought about these, right? And so I'm loading up and I could tell, all right. And when I'm not listening, or I could tell you or another person isn't listening, like we're just going around each other, that's another sign. Something's off here. And we need to do something. What's another sign of unhealthy conflict, Lisa, that you saw either in this video or that you noticed that you've seen over time?
Yeah, I think another sign would be criticism.
Oh, okay.
Where instead of, voicing a valid complaint, you're criticizing the person. You're calling into question their character. And instead of making a complaint as a stating, hun, you left the dishes in the sink again. They're supposed to go in the dishwasher. You left them in the sink.
That's pretty valid.
That's a valid complaint.
Okay.
Right? Criticism would be, You left the dishes in the sink. You are so lazy. You never think about anybody but yourself.
You're just a slob.
And so, a great sign and indication that you're falling into criticism as opposed to making a valid complaint is the word you. You did this. You're always like this. You're never doing this. And so always, never, and you. That's going to be a really good indication that you're slipping into criticism. And that can be really toxic to a relationship.
Okay, so you notice a harsh startup, which means you're also revved up,
Right?
right? You're feeling bum, and one of you or both of you are using the you always, you never, and or making broad general criticisms about a person's character, right, versus a valid complaint.
Yeah.
All right. We can thank so many people. I think of Scott Stanley at the University of Denver, who has written extensively on this idea of what does conflict look like and what are the steps? Greg Smalley over at Focus on the Family, they've got some great things. Family Life, we've learned from them. John Gottman has the Four Horsemen. So another sign, Lise, then a harsh startup. You said when there's criticism. I've noticed too that I can and people can get pretty defensive, right? Like, okay, you bring this up. Well, you are now poking at something, especially if you say always and never. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not lazy and I'm not a slob. And so I'm going to get defensive, right? And I'm going to just kind of not let you in.
Well, what about you?
Yeah.
Well, you left your shoes out there. Well, you did this. So it's really blaming the other person.
Yeah, you're not perfect all the time. How about when you do this? Well, that's a defending,
Right.
That is really now, okay, I'm going to fight you when you come in here and tell you all the bad things you have done. When I start falling into defensiveness, it's like easy to see and start going at to avoid either taking responsibility or to rationalize and justify it by claiming you're just as bad. In fact, you're worse in these areas. That's defensiveness, right? Give me another one that you'd see sometimes happening in conflict that's not healthy.
Well, I think one that is a go-to for me personally that I really have to work on is stonewalling.
Or withdrawal.
Yeah, when something comes up and we're in conflict about something, I just want to run away and hide. I want to avoid the conflict. I don't want to talk about it. I want to pretend like everything's okay. And so I just withdraw and shut down.
Yeah.
And that's just a self-protective mode, right? It's like you're building a wall of stone so that you can hide behind it. And so one of the ways that you're doing that is when you just, whether it's you or the other person, you just, you'll use phrases like, yeah, you're right, whatever. Yeah, you're right. I'm the bad guy. I'm always wrong. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. You're always right. I'm wrong, whatever.
Yeah, and it could even be with less words, right? It could just be, yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to talk about it. Fine. That's right. You're right.
Or just the silent treatment,
Yeah,
right?
just the silent treatment. And that could be a sign of withdrawing, stonewalling, whatever you want to call it. How about the worst one, according to many researchers out there, including the Gottmans and others who have studied conflict, when they say you see this particular emotional response come out, that it may be the best predictor of not just unhealthy conflict, but even divorce. What is that?
Yeah, and that's contempt. And contempt, you can identify contempt by sarcasm, eye rolling, like, oh my gosh, look what I have to put up with. Look what I have to live with. Can you believe this?
Yeah.
And it's a sense of superiority, like, oh my gosh, I'm so much better than you. At least I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And, look how much harder I have it. You don't have it that bad. It's really putting yourself in a position of superiority over the other person. Yeah. And it's that sense of anger mixed with disgust. Like, you disgust me. I can't believe I'm married to you. I can't believe I put up with this.
Yeah. You nailed the two major emotions, right? All of us have these emotions that we share in common, right? From anger and joy, but in there, along with, these, some are hard, different, fear, right? But disgust mixed with anger, Psychologists would call that contempt, which you just identified. And why is that such a good predictor of divorce, right? What is that? In fact, some researchers have said, man, I start seeing contempt show up, criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, all of these. It begins to go, yeah, this is an unhealthy way of dealing with conflict.
And especially if, you might see these pop up every now and then, but when it becomes a de facto pattern of your interaction, it's a pattern of behavior, your pattern of your conflict, that this is what we always default to, that's when it becomes corrosive and really toxic to the relationship.
Yeah, and there are a number of passages we could talk about, in terms of responding to things that are difficult and hard in a conflict. But I think one that we oftentimes land on is when those happen, I think a go-to passage would be Psalm 139, right? And that is to say, okay, instead of me trying to figure out, God, give me insight into wisdom as to her wrongness, as to the way she has messed this up, and let me point out all of the faults. Instead, I think we're challenged to go, hold on, search me. All right. Oh, God, know me, try me, know my anxious thoughts. See if there's a hurtful way in me.
And then lead me in the way I should go.
Yeah. And that takes a little bit of time. So we have to kind of, from that emotional kind of flooding, right, when we have that very harsh startup, when we're just overwhelmed and we begin to use one of these kinds of things, defensiveness, or you run away, or then I think one of the things we have to do is say, all right, hold on, you need to take, to
Pause.
pray, take some time before you go forward.
Proceed.
Okay, good. Lisa, these are signs that maybe your conflict is getting to a point, some of what we would call danger zones, right? This is a type of conflict that if you're having and you're seeing one of those signs or a multiple number of signs, you kind of got to start paying attention to what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And this can be present in any kind of relationship, right? We're not just talking about marriage. Right. This can be present in the way you interact with your children, your coworkers at work, your extended family members, your friendships. And when you begin to see that several of your friendships are suffering because of this, that you're not happy in them, they're not happy in them, that you're at odds with people regularly, that's usually an indication that maybe one or more of these is going on, and you really need to push the pause button and be willing to do some self-examination and let the Lord examine your heart too.
Yeah, boy, all you got to do is pull up, road rage, or Karen moments, as I like to call them today, right? And you have these moments where you see people just, it feels unhinged, right? And that's what we're talking about. So we begin to identify, Lisa, as you said, when this is happening to us. Now, there are ways, though, that we can take and use conflict in a much more healthy way. Right. And then conflict is actually a good sign of like, okay, this is maybe a moment of what's going on in my heart right now. Psalm 139, what's going on with me? Why am I feeling these things? And there's conflict that can be pretty strong relationship builders of all things.
Yeah.
Right? I begin to get to, I think the first relationship builder that conflict can do is we begin to see the heart of another person.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if I think you're wrong and I think that this is messed up and you're just not seeing it right, you're being stubborn, and now I'm starting to get defensive and criticize. One of the fascinating things is when you take and stop and you approach it a little bit of, with some time and go, all right, I need to figure out what's happening in here. And one of the things I notice is I'm so much, what's going on with my heart, Lord?
Yeah.
What's happening? And then to be able to begin to take the perspective of the other person. One of the hardest things to do is to go, I need to put aside my goggles, my way of seeing this, and I need to take and listen to what they're saying. Listening, taking their perspective, And trying to identify what's going on in their heart is really hard when I'm not feeling good and I'm not feeling happy with you.
Yeah, and I think what you're alluding to, Chris, is that oftentimes whatever our conflict is about, there's actually something much deeper and more serious going on, right? So, like in the video that we just referenced from the breakup with Jennifer Aniston and Vince Vaughn, she got so ticked right out of the gate when he said, "Who cares, if the dishes sit overnight?" And she immediately went to, "I care. I busted my ass. I did this. And you're just sitting on the couch." It's like, whoa, where did this come from? Well, because wisdom tells you at that point, oh, this is not really about the dishes.
Yeah.
This is about something deeper. This is something about her feeling maybe that it's she feels unappreciated. Maybe she feels like it's unfair. I cleaned house all day, and when you come home, I'm ready to clean, and I'd like to relax too. And why do you get to relax when I don't get to? Somebody's got to. Doesn't feel fair that I have to do the dishes while
She
you're.
doesn't feel cared for. She doesn't feel it's fair.
But she never said that.
Yeah.
And then for him, he went right back at her, right? And he's like, "I told you I would do them. What's the big deal?" And so he throws the remote control. So what's he feeling?
Well, I think at that point he's probably feeling misunderstood. I'll take his position, right? He basically says, "I'll do them with you in the morning," right?
Kind of misjudged.
Yeah, misjudged. Even being treated, harshly is so unfair when I'm agreeing to do what you want. It's just not on your timing. That's
So maybe controlled, a little powerless, controlled.
maybe control. Again, he doesn't use those words, and very few people do. And this is why we put together a list of words that you can go onto our website, cmr.biola.edu. Look up at these words called when you're having emotion, when you're having conflict, you're having these emotions, right?
Identify your emotions. Yeah.
One of the keys, I think, in what we've done, Lisa, is we put together not only the label and the word to help a person identify
The definitions.
the definitions, we also put the opposite of each of the negatives.
We put the positives.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Right? Let's go through her. She feels misjudged. She feels uncared for. She feels misportrayed. He feels controlled. Well, the opposite of those can be very insightful too, right? If you feel misjudged, or let's say you feel you're being treated unfairly, well, what's the opposite? Is being treated with respect and fairness. Being misportrayed, it's being accurately cared for or judged.
Right. Being unappreciated, the opposite would be feeling very acknowledged and appreciated and valued.
So we put together about 30 of these that are the negative and the positive that usually go together.
Yeah, we'll put the link to that in the show notes too.
Yeah. What's cool about that is, I think, what we have found in our research with couples is always the same ones tend to crop up for you. If the conflict's about children, if the conflict's about parents, if the conflict's about money, or if the conflict's about dishes, you tend to feel the same things. Like, it's unfair, I feel misjudged, and I feel out of control, like you're bossing me. Okay?
Well, when it comes to money and marriage, we all want clarity and confidence, right? And especially unity with spouses, right? I think, Lisa, that's why we get to work personally with Colby Gilmore of Blue Trust.
That's right. Colby Gilmore, along with other Blue Trust certified wealth strategists, offers personalized, biblically centered financial planning and investment management services, no matter what your income level is.
Lisa, say that title twice. Blue Trust Certified Wealth Strategist. That's a tough
I'm not sure I could.
I know. So they do put clients' best interest first, and they don't sell financial products. I love that about them.
Me too. And you know what? We highly recommend Colby Gilmore and Blue Trust for anyone looking for both financial unity with your spouse and opportunities to increase your wealth and your generosity.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check out ronblue.com or reach out to Colby Gilmore at colby.gilmore@ronblue.com. That's colby.gilmore@ronblue.com. I think you guys will be glad you did. And then what's so cool about this, the insight I think that has helped so many couples in this area is to recognize that what is the opposite is oftentimes what I desire and need the most, right? So now if I know that when I tell you, Lisa, you shouldn't spend this extra money that you have on this thing and it makes you feel controlled, powerless,
Misjudged.
and misjudged, then it's a good moment for me to go, wait a minute, what do I know about my wife? Is she really somebody that is out of control and needs to be corralled? Is she somebody that spends without thinking? Because I feel that way, and oftentimes it's there. But what do I know about you? And I that's where it takes, all right, tell me about what you're feeling in this. And if you say, I feel like you're judging me, like I haven't thought about this, and that when you're bossing me and trying to control what I spend, it makes me feel like you don't trust me, that you think I'm only that I'm selfish. I'm thinking, that's interesting.
Yeah, and can I point out too, that's what we call a gentle startup. When you do that, as opposed to going right, for the jugular, you're irresponsible, you're overspending, you're selfish, you don't think about anybody but yourself. That's a harsh startup. The gentle startup would be, Lise, whenever we spend past our budget, I think I really start to feel a little worried about the bottom line, like that we're being irresponsible with being able to save our money the way we should and pay our bills. I'm worried that we won't have enough to, at the end of the month. And I feel a little like that's unfair. Like I've been willing to watch what I'm spending, but it seems like you haven't been willing. So that's a much gentler startup. You're voicing a valid complaint that, hey, you overspent the budget. And that's a valid complaint. That's a fact, right? But you did it gently. And this is the antidote to criticism, right? We talked about criticism. The antidote is a gentle startup using an I statement, right? I feel worried. I feel a little insecure. I feel like we're being irresponsible. I feel like that's unfair because I'm watching what I spend. It seems like you're not. And then you give the positive need. What would I like to see happen? What do I need to see happen?
And even before you get that positive need, one of the cool things that I think you could do during a time of conflict is to hear the other person express those emotions, help them put them into certain words and categories. So what you're saying is you feel that this is unfair. You feel like I'm misjudging you.
So you paraphrase it and repeat it back?
And it helps the other person go, yeah, I guess that's really what I'm feeling. Okay, that takes a little bit of gymnastics. It takes a little bit of time to get to where I could take off all my kind of angry criticism, negative things and go, all right, let me hear what you're saying. Is this what you really are thinking? Did I get that right? Just the process of being heard in many of these times can be very powerful.
Yeah, and I think you make a really great point of that need to pull yourself out of that, set my needs, my desires, my point of view to the side, and let me really listen so I can understand your perspective and empathize with it, validate it and empathize it. And that is so hard to do when you are in the heat of the moment. It's like, I am so mad, I'm so angry, I'm so hurt. All I want to do is show you why you're wrong and why I'm right. So in that moment, sometimes you're flooded. You mentioned flooded, right? Your heart rate's going up, your body temperature's going up. Sometimes to be able to do what you just said, Chris, sometimes you have to call a timeout.
Yeah.
And you just have to, because physiologically, we can't listen.
Yeah.
Physiologically, biologically, we can't listen well when we are flooded.
Yeah, and so
right?
timeout can be really helpful. I remember calling one in 2018 that I still haven't called back, right? I mean,
It's a tough.
yeah, no. And so, that's a jokingly way of saying you call a timeout. It doesn't mean you get a timeout for a year or more, even, maybe a day, but most of the time it could just be 20 minutes.
Well, the minimum that shows physiologically to slow down and for your heart rate to come down and you to get back to a point of homeostasis a point where you can hear and process this in a helpful, healthy way takes at least 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it varies for a lot of people, but 20 minutes ought to be for many. Some could calm down a little bit quicker, but research is showing, it's going to be at least 20 minutes.
And during that 20 minutes is not the time to rehearse and rehash the argument. It's not the time to sit there and go, oh man, I really should have said this. I wish this would have been my great comeback, right? But that's the time to invite the Holy Spirit in, invite the Lord in. In James 1:9, and where James said, be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And that's when I pray and I just say, Lord, I am angry. I feel hurt. I don't want to listen. I can't put myself, in his shoes. I'm having a hard time being willing to see it from his perspective because I'm hurt. And I'm angry. But Lord, I know that that's your will. And so Romans 8:6 says, if you give the Holy Spirit control of your mind, well, first of all, if the flesh controls your mind, it's going to lead to death. The death of our relationship, our friendship, our overall well-being of our relationship. But if the Holy Spirit controls your mind, it leads to life and peace. And so during that pausing time, that's where we invite the Holy Spirit in and say, Holy Spirit, I want to give you control of my mind and my heart right now because I'm going to mess this up. So when I want to give that to you, and then, Lord, I need you to help me be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry. Because I know in Philippians 2:13, one of my other favorite verses says, for the Lord is at work in you, giving you the desire to do his will and the power to do the things that please him. So if it's his will that I be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry, he will help me. The question is, am I willing to pause and cooperate with his Holy Spirit?
Yeah, and like you said, it's not easy during time of conflict. Oftentimes at that moment, it's like, fine, I just, and you can take a time out and then depart with the one last shot,
Right.
And I think some people that do that, you're like, oh gosh, they walk away throwing down the remote and, throwing their keys.
It's good in the moment.
Yeah.
The long term.
And I think that's the slow to get angry. Like, hold on, I need to back away because I'm not listening really well. I mean, I can't hear a word you're saying. To be
That's okay to say that.
Yeah, no. And so to do that in that way could be really positive. Like, I can't hear you. I need to back away. So healthy conflict would be that in which somebody takes care of their physiologically, that flooding, that emotional boom, 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 right? That's happening. It's learning to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry. It's taking the perspective of the other person going, all right, you first. I need to hear you. And let's talk about that one. It's better to look out for the interests. This one is really hard, right? In
Philippians 2.
Yeah. Do not, look out for your own interests, but also for the interests of others. Not only look out for your own. It's going to be impossible not to look out for my heart, what I want, what I feel. But I think in a time of conflict, it's really good to, and almost advantageous for you, for your listening, for your heart to go, I want to hear you first. Tell me what's going on. What's happening with you? It really then does allow you to begin to see the world, the situation, the conflict. So let's say Vince Vaughn said, all right, so hold on. Give me 5 minutes. I'm going to walk out here. I'm going to come right back. All right, hold on. Comes back and says, hey, can you tell me what, I mean, I heard you, something with the dishes in the house. It makes you feel, can you just tell me what you're feeling right now? Right? What's happening with you? I know you're upset, and hopefully she's calmed down enough to say, and probably she can then answer more rationally and say, well, when the house is a mess, when there's, I just makes me feel like it's not done. I'll
Control.
or I'll worry about it all night. And I just, and then present, okay, so it makes you feel this. And then can you tell me, like a little bit of, why does it bother you just because it makes you feel like you're not,
like you don't measure up,
or
that you're not good enough as a wife, or Yeah, that's, if you're a good wife, you're a good mother, you do it this way. And if that's not happening, then, and it may be totally illogical. It's like, I know that's not true, but that's how it makes me feel.
Okay. A conflict with the goal of hearing the other person, being quick to listen. Of course, hopefully both of you can do
It's
this.
gotta be mutual.
Yeah, because sometimes you can go, all right, let me listen to you, and you share, and I get it. Now, are you ready to hear me? And they're like, no, I think I'm right. And you're like, all right, well, I think
Yeah.
we got to get to a point where let's just assume both people can at least attempt this, right? Some might need a little bit more time to identify their emotions. I think for you, I'd call a timeout. Let's say you did 20 minutes later, and you're like, I need to go away and think about
Yeah,
this.
I actually needed that list.
Yeah.
And when someone showed us that list, and we did some work on our own with that, that was really helpful for me because I'm not very insightful. Like, I know something's wrong, but I can't really quite identify it. So actually looking at that list and the definitions of the emotions was super helpful for me, and it might be for other people.
I think for you too, for those that are trying this for the first time or recognizing, okay, I need to do this, it could take, 24 hours. It could take 12 hours after looking at this. I think for you, what I've seen is now you really don't need the list all that much. And it's within 20 minutes, you can start to go, this is kind of the buttons that get pushed for me a lot here.
Yeah.
And people talk about buttons getting pushed. And
I think when that next step, once you've paraphrased it, you've repeated back what I hear you saying, and you really listen to understand, you reflect their tone, not just their words, right? And that the next key to this really being healthy and helpful is validation. Is that you validate the other person's perspective. So when
I could have this one said, okay, so what I hear you saying is this makes you feel this way, fill in the proper words whenever the dishes aren't done. I could see that. It would make you feel anxious. It makes you feel like you don't measure up. And it makes you feel like you're kind of a failure. And I guess that really sucks. I don't want to make you feel that way just by not doing the dishes or telling you not to do the
And I
dishes.
could see why you would feel that way. That's absolutely valid. And you may not agree with the person, but you want to validate the right to their perspective.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I think that's great. So now we have a number of things you can do for healthy conflict, right? We've already talked about work on the emotional, that flooding that comes in by slowing it down, taking a time out, right? The watching the harsh startup, being quick to listen,
Using the I statement.
using I statements,
And-
identifying the emotions that we feel, right? And labeling them.
And then another big one for we talked about contempt and how corrosive, like of the four horsemen, that one's the most corrosive. And the antidote to that one is building and creating an environment of appreciation and affirmation throughout your day-to-day, not just in that moment, but throughout your day-to-day, that you notice where the other person is winning, things that they're doing well, things that you admire, you value, you appreciate, and you call it out. And when you do that on a regular basis, then what that does is it fills what they call their love bank, right? It fills your love bank. It fills the other person's love bank. Like those words of affirmation, of acknowledgement, of appreciation, puts a deposit in the relational bank so that when you have conflict, that's going to make a withdrawal. And if you haven't built up enough account, just like a bank account, and all you have are withdrawals, negativity going on, conflict, that's going to bankrupt your relationship.
Yeah.
So to counteract the corrosiveness of the contempt, then you just practice building an environment of appreciation and affirmation.
And doesn't that lead full circle then that one of the best ways to fill a love bank with appreciation is through the process of gratitude, and throughout the day, practice one thing. So if you're in conflict, when you're not in conflict, maybe the person's not there, maybe is to think through, what do I value about this person? Especially if it's a spouse, you can probably have a pretty long list. What attracted me to them? Well, they're humorous. They're really funny. You know, I love when he gets excited playing video games. Let's suppose you're Jennifer Aniston and you're like, all right, so I was feeling like he's lazy and a slob and he doesn't want to do anything and he doesn't appreciate me. You know, she could stop and go, man, you know, the next day go, man, I just love the way he works hard for our family. I love the way he interacts with people. I love how funny and social he is around people.
Yeah, I love Amy Gordon is a researcher, and she one time said that when it comes to gratitude for your partner, that or for anyone for that matter, is that you recognize not only that, hey, I appreciate you, I'm grateful for you, not only because you take the trash out, but because you know I hate taking the trash out, and so you do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like a step beyond that. Not only do you take it out, but you take it out simply because you know I hate doing it. And so it's like that extra cherry on top that you recognize and you call it out and you express it. It's one thing to be grateful, to feel grateful, but it's not effective unless you actually articulate it and express it to the other person, and that you do it regularly throughout the day.
Yeah, someone said that uh, not expressing gratitude is like giving somebody a present, but not opening it, right, or something like that. I think it's that.
You wrap the present, but you don't give it to
Oh yeah, maybe you wrap the present, but
Earth or
but to
water.
them. Yeah. Well, I think then we've covered a lot here. It gives people a lot to work on. Lee, some final thoughts that you might have. You could see that this healthy conflict, you know, it can be used as insight into who we are, what's really going on. Help me understand you, your heart better. God uses these things to sharpen us as iron sharpens iron. So don't run away from conflict.
Right.
And then other final thoughts.
Yeah, I would say probably the end is the repair. And that a really important part of the healthy conflict is the repair. And sometimes that can be an apology. It can be appropriate use of humor, right? Things like that. And so apology would be where you really own what you did. And the best part is if you both take responsibility for at least part of the conflict. Even if your part is only 10% and the other person is 90%, if you can at least be willing to own that 10%, it makes it so much easier for the other person to own their part of it, right?
Yeah, so let's say in the clip one last time, if a person was able to settle down, do all of these things, and then the character played by Vince Vaughn was able to say, okay, look, you're right. I was just sitting here, you know, wanting to relax. But I'll own that, you know, I really, you did a lot of work here and you set up everything and you got this done. The least I could do is get in there and help you, right? I mean that, and so I'm sorry that I you know didn't. Now again, I feel like him relaxing is normal. Him wanting to do the dishes in the morning is normal. But what you said is that repair is saying, yep, I'm going to own part of this, that I could serve you better, even though I don't think it's right or I don't think it's appropriate time to do it. But you just go, you know what? I can own part of this, that this made you feel this way, and I don't want you to feel this way.
So that apology, so we call the apology the 9 magic words, right? I'm sorry, I was wrong, please forgive me. I'm sorry, I threw the remote down. That was childish. I really wish I wouldn't have done that. I apologize. Will you please forgive me for that? Right? And for her part, wow, I'm sorry I just flew off the handle like that. I wish I would have said that a little bit more gently and in a different way. And I apologize. I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me?
Yeah. And then you have the makings right there of a repair that begins to strengthen the relationship using those things. And this is where conflict is used for you and to a greater degree. I now know your heart a little bit more. I'm now a little bit more aware, and it's a relationship building actually.
Yeah, in all kinds of relationships. And in fact, I recently had to do this with one of our grandkids.
Yeah.
Right? We were on vacation, and one of the grandkids misbehaved, and I really called him out on it, and probably a little more harshly than I wished that I would have. And it really hurt his feelings, and I saw him just crumble, and I immediately knew I had messed up. And so, I had to go gather myself and go through those steps of, Lord, search me, oh God. Help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to get angry. And so I had to go and draw that child to me, and we sat on the steps, and I put him on my lap, and just said, man, Gigi, I messed up. I said that more harshly than I meant to, and I shouldn't have done that. That wasn't right. Will you please forgive me? And bless his heart, he just wrapped his little arms around my neck, and we just sat there on the steps, and we just hugged. And he told me, he said, he's 5 years old. He goes, that wasn't very fun, Gigi. And, I wanted to giggle because it was so cute, but it really pierced my heart.
Yeah.
And I wanted to validate that, right? And say, you know what? I can imagine that wasn't fun. I wouldn't like it if somebody got on to me that harshly too. And so will you please forgive me? And he said yes, and we hugged, and I just said, I love you so much. And he said, I love you too, Gigi. And so that was the repair of it. And so, this can work at work, it works with your neighbors, it works with your kids. And so important as a mom and dad to practice that as adults, because that's where your kids learn to manage conflict, to regulate their emotions, is by watching and listening how we do.
Sure.
Right? And helping them put a label on those emotions so that they're learning it.
Yes, I love in that story how you felt immediately after you.
Oh man,
you just feel that. Does that ever happen? Like you just know you did something wrong, right?
It's like those words went out, and you want to bring them back, and you just can't.
Yeah. And I also feel like that's kind of the cool part about doing these steps is you're able to see less and less of those. But when you do have those mess ups, you're able to repair quickly.
Yeah, it builds reconnection, it builds trust, and it builds security back into the relationship.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's awesome, man. That's good things. I would pause, Lisa, and if I was a listener, I'd go back and listen to some of these things that you said, because they're powerful mic drop moments of how to do and move from this cycle of conflict that we find ourselves in and that immediately explode to really having conflict work for you and be a relationship strengthener
and growth.
Growth, right? Hey, it's fun to join you guys as well on these kinds of things. Lisa, it's mostly fun to join you and do this together. Yep, way to go. Bam. And hope you guys enjoy it. And check us out, cmr.biola.edu. You can find all kinds of cool things there. Hit the like button. Do what else? What should you do? Thumbs up.
Subscribe. Do whatever. Well, yeah, you know what to do. Yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Don't make us do some bad conflict on you. Okay, do good conflict. All right, see you guys.
Okay, bye.
We're very glad you joined us for today's podcast. For more resources on marriage and healthy relationships, please visit our website at cmr.biola.edu. We'll see you next time on The Art of Relationships.